Hi, I'm Natalie Whittingham. I'm the agency owner here at the local Globe Life Liberty National Office, the Whittingham Agencies. Thanks so much for joining us today. Now, at this part of the interview process, someone in my hiring team has contacted you either by phone, text, email, because they saw something in your background or your skill set that made them feel that you could potentially be a good fit for what we do. In this portion, my goal is to give you a company overview so you know more about the position we're hiring for, the requirements, the compensation, and what would be required if we were to move forward together. After this company overview, it's going to be a post overview assessment. Now, the reason we do our hiring like this is to centralize our hiring processes. So any candidates we are interested in gets the same information about our company. Now, we are hiring for all of our offices throughout the state of Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Illinois. So after this overview, please go ahead and complete that post overview assessment because that assessment is going to allow our hiring team to do some evaluations, take a look at that with your resume, and also call you back to be able to schedule the next portion of the interview process. The next and last portion of the interview process is the final. In the final portion, it's going to allow you to ask any questions that you might have about the opportunity, get clarification on things, as well as for us to see if you're the right fit to move forward with. Now, here's what I'm going to go over throughout the second portion of the interview process. It's going to be about the company, the marketing, agency's career track, as well as the opportunity, training, and then really what would be required if we did decide to move forward together. Now, before I jump into all of that, I'm going to tell you briefly about myself. I do have 4 offices currently, one in Indianapolis, Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Evansville, Indiana, as well as Toledo, Ohio. We are continuing to expand, like I mentioned, into Kentucky, Illinois, the rest of Ohio, and other parts of Indiana. So we're really hiring for all across the state and continuing into the Midwest. Before I jump into the company overview, though, I want to tell you a little about my background with the company. So I started with Globe Life Liberty National in October of 2018. Then I was a recent college graduate the year prior, and I really didn't feel like I had any direction at the time that I joined on with the company. Whenever I got out of college, it was my goal my entire life to become a lawyer. I saw that they had stability. I saw that they were a respected position. And growing up, I really didn't have that. I spent a lot of time jumping from house to house. We lived in about 25 different places by the time I was 20 years old. We were on food stamps. We lived in subsidized housing. Stability wasn't something that I really knew a lot about. So it was something I deeply craved in my adult world, in my adult years, and in my profession. So I wanted to be a lawyer, but as a college graduate that was buried in debt, that really wasn't possible. So I took a job out of school just to take a job to do anything basically. I wanted to grow some experience, but I also needed to make some money. I was buried in debt and jumping right into law school just wasn't a possibility at the time. So I took a job with the parole or probation office, and I was helping individuals to transition from jail and back into the community. What I learned a lot about myself during that time was I loved helping people. I loved watching people help, grow, develop, change their lives. What I hated was what that job was doing to me. I was constantly pouring from an empty cup. I was completely broke. I was mentally drained, not to mention my Chrysler 200 at the time's muffler was dragging on the ground. So I needed to make a change where I could make some more money, where I could grow long term. I was only making about $35,000 a year there and working upwards of 14 hours a day. It was really a struggle for me. But so what I did is I went back to school. That's what everybody said to do. If you want an advanced position, you have to have an advanced degree. You have to stand out. So I went back to school. I began my master's degree, and I quickly found that even that master's degree wasn't going to get me where I needed. So I pretty much threw a resume at anyone that would look at it. Hospitality, corrections, business, marketing, whatever would look at my resume, I wanted to talk to them and see what their company was about because I just craved stability. Now, I walked into a Globe Life Liberty National office in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, about 6 years ago now. And what I thought was going to be a short term thing to get me to law school ended up being a career that I fell in love with. Not only fell in love with it, but also changed my life financially, gave me an opportunity I never thought possible. And I went from making $35,000 in human services to my very first year with the company making over $150,000. Although I wasn't chasing money, I was chasing stability. What that did for my family was life changing. So since then, I've been promoted 4 times in the last 6 years, and I'm now the agency owner in Indianapolis with 5 offices currently. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we move forward. So we were founded in 1900 and we're currently licensed to operate in 49 states. We have over $43 billion of life insurance in force and with 58 agency offices across the country. Now, if you're from Pittsburgh or Indianapolis, these may not be teams that you're too fond of, but you know who they are. The one thing that I think is really cool with these major sports brand partnerships are that, so there are some big names and they trust us. So we are the official name life insurance provider for the Texas Rangers, life insurance for the Dallas Cowboys, and a proud partner of FC Dallas and the Atlanta Braves. So even if you don't like these teams necessarily, you know who they are, and they're very respected. Financial stability is something I hear a lot about during the interview process. People are craving that, just like I was. So we are named towards top 50 life and health lists and have been every year since 2016. And we also have been named towards the financial AM Best since 1996. So we really do have a strong record of that financial stability, which is very important, especially in times like we went through a few years ago during COVID. I wanted to make sure I was the company that can even pay me during times of recession. So what do we do? We work with small to medium sized blue collar businesses to make sure that they could protect their families in the case that something major happens, like a heart attack, stroke, accident, cancer, something of that nature. The average blue collar family in the state in America typically makes right around $20 per hour. Now, someone making $20 per hour, God forbid they were to suffer from a heart attack, that would probably take them out of work for, at least a few months. That would be financially devastating to their family to be able to survive during that time without that income for their family. Our goal is to be able to relieve that struggle so they can be able to survive during that time. So we provide these types of benefits on the screen to working blue collar Americans. We typically work with roofing, construction, manufacturing, social services, school districts, counties, things of that nature. But how do we do it? We use a Salesforce CRM. Now, this allows us to really run our business from anywhere on our mobile device. And this position specifically is hiring for three roles: customer service, accounts management, as well as new client acquisition, all kind of under one role, wearing three hats. Now, with the new client acquisition, we do utilize dynamic lead sources. This allows us to have thousands of current clients that need to be regularly serviced, as well as a proprietary lead generation system and working on referrals as well. So with our employer process, if we're obtaining a new business client, we're going to meet with an HR director, business owner, CFO of a company, showing them how we can help them retain employees, how we can help those employees protect their families and save both the employee and the employer in tax dollars throughout the process. Now, in order to be able to do that, we have to have some pretty good training. And when I came into this industry, I knew that I could talk with people, I could communicate well. That's what human services taught me, but I didn't know this industry at all. So having a strong training system was very important to me. With that being said, we do a week of classroom training, learning our products, our presentations, and basically the backbone of what we need to know once we actually get into the application piece, which is field training. Field training, we're training your result and not a time period. Everybody takes a little different times to learn. So during field training, we're going to be 100% observational at the beginning to 100% participatory at the end of that 2 to 3 week period, followed by a release meeting, ensuring that anyone that is representing themselves or our company with our products is be able to do so well. After that, we have online training as well as continuing education on in our office on a week-to-week basis, because we can always learn and grow together. Now, jumping into the compensation, this was one of the main reasons why I choose this career. Was I was so sick of other people telling me how much I was worth. When I left my last job, I was making right around $16.50 per hour, and it was hard to stomach that someone thought I was only worth $16 an hour. I knew my work ethic was better than the person that was next to me. I knew I was working harder, I was putting in more hours, and I was really just putting my heart and soul into everything. So when I was looking for a company, I wanted a company that would make sure they were going to compensate me based on my work ethic and not what they thought I was worth. So with this type of compensation, we have an example here. This is average family care plan with a business with 10 employees. If that business has 10 employees, typically 6 out of those 10 are going to be able to participate in benefits with us. It's going to be affordable to them at a needs-based approach. So we would make a weekly advance of $836, a weekly bonus of $573, leaving our total yearly earnings right around $73,000. I know it's not a million, but I think it's pretty good for a first year's income, especially from where I was coming from in the past. Now, this type of compensation really puts you in the driver's seat to earn what you deserve. No one's telling you how much you're worth. You're able to determine your own worth. With renewals and incentives, it is the number one reason that people do choose a career in financial services. Now, here with our renewals and incentives, how it works is our agents and managers are paid each month on any policies or relationships built in the past. So we have a 10-year vesting process that allows us to retire if we want to at 10 years because we're 100% vested in our renewals. But let me show you what it looks like in dollar amounts. So I have here with the agency director, the average income level for our agency directors for 2013 was right around 114,000, with the average renewal income over $11,000 per year. For a regional director, 279,000 with $48,000 in renewal income a year, and an agency owner upwards of $200,000 of renewal income per year, just on business relationships in the past. So with this, main thing that I like to look at is when I was looking for a career, I wanted a retirement plan that I could rely on and be in control of. I have no idea if Social Security is going to be around when I go to retire. So I wanted this type of residual or renewal income to be able to retire well. So who are the type of people we see? Those that have a passion for helping people. Ultimately, our goal is to protect as many blue collar Americans as possible so their families don't have to suffer from financial hardship. Those that are coachable, we have over 100 years of training systems that we perfected, but being able and willing to adapt those training systems is extremely important. Having a high level of integrity, someone may be calling you on their absolute worst day. So being able to have that high level of integrity and handling that is extremely important. And lastly, you have to be thinking you're worth more than what you're currently doing or what you're currently making. So I'm going to jump into that career track about how I advanced. So I started in October of 2018 as a career agent. I knew that I didn't want to stay there long term, but the cool thing about our company is everybody starts at the same level and is able to progress at their own rate. In a lot of other careers, you have to wait till someone dies, retires, moves on to be able to move up, but it's really up to you in this industry. So I started as a career agent, but I knew that I didn't want to stay there long term. At that point, I learned how to partner with businesses. After about 3 months in that role, I became a supervisor. As you can guess, I was no expert at that time, but I did know how to form relationships with business owners and how to partner with businesses. I then learned how to transfer my skill set. The real role that was life changing for me was getting into a general agent and agency director role. I became an agency director in 1 year with the company. As an agency director, I made over $150,000 with the company, was able to change my family's life financially. But the real growth started when I became a regional director. At that point, I was able to open up 2 satellite offices for the agency owner in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, proving that I could build an office, build a team where I really found my passion, which was not only providing benefits to blue collar and working Americans, but also building others and building a team. Now I'm the agency owner, and I have been the agency owner since December of 2001. Or 2021, sorry. I've been the agency owner and I've continued to grow since then. Now, the unlimited marketplace is something very important to us. I hear a lot in the insurance world that it's oversaturated. There's companies everywhere. You see, you can hit a rock from one company to the next. One thing that's very unique about our company is we're the only Globe Life Liberty National office in the entire state of Indiana and have room to continue to grow across the Midwest. Now, our culture, one of the things that is most important to us, and I hold most near and dear to my heart, is our culture and being able to have a work life balance. I have young kiddos at home. A lot of us do. So we have a good schedule with a normal Monday through Friday, no weekends or evenings. That way we have time to give back to spend time at home as well. And we also want to make sure we're having a positive environment, building each other up. But our company culture gives back another way called our annual convention. This is where they send us and a guest once a year to the top performers of the company to a destination. This year we went to Nashville. Next year we're going to be headed to Mexico. So we're super excited about that. It's a great time, a huge trip. We had about 25 people from my office qualified to go. Lastly is our Make Tomorrow Better initiative. This is where our company strives to give back to communities where we live, work, and visit. And since 2013, we've donated over $4.1 million to the companies which we visited for conventions, trips, agency owner meetings, so we can make any area we visit better than when we came. Now, with the keys to success, if we are to move forward together, these are some things that are absolutely crucial. The first is going to be professional certification. I know there are some of you that are watching this that are already licensed and have that professional certification. If you do not, don't worry about it. We'll help you throughout that process. Now, if we do decide to move forward together with that professional certification, we will invest in you so you can get that licensure, but we also ask for you to make an investment into your licensure as well. It does vary by state, so we'll get into that more into the final portion of the interview process. A smartphone or access to one as well as a laptop, Now, embracing our culture. Now, with embracing our culture, we do meet our clients on site at their company. So, this role is a combination between in the office as well as on site at those business clients. We believe the best relationship is formed in person, being able to shake a hand, meet them, build that relationship. So, a driver's license and vehicle is absolutely essential to the position. And lastly, an entrepreneurial attitude and willingness to grow. Now, when we go ahead and wrap up, which we're going to be doing now, go ahead and select leave meeting or end. After that, you're going to get a prompt to complete the company assessment. Once you complete that company assessment, my management team is going to go ahead and review your profile, see some of the things you talked about, see your interest in moving forward, as well as see if you're a good candidate that we want to meet in the next portion. I'm sure you have questions, so keep those jotted down, because once we schedule you for that final portion of the interview process, we'll bring you in as well as answer any of those questions you may have to see if it's a good fit moving forward. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk soon.